Hello and welcome along as the Cross Series League Racing Championship returns this week. It's round 6. Oh, hello, that's our leader. That's Peterson. And Ross is just heading past him. We've just seen him flash through there. And Turn 1 claims yet another victim. Round 10 of the championship, and everything to play for a few of our drivers. As
there it goes.
There we go. I think there's just all of a sudden the daylight has fallen off the cliff, and there's people absolutely everywhere trying to find their way round, off track, left, right, and centre. Ghastly. I'm hoping for certainly not a ghastly race, as he's, I'll tell you what, he's really fast and coats up onto the high line. Cower opting for a much lower one as we go green here for the final time at Lima Land. I mean, when you saw those two coming together in your mirrors, surely it must have been a big weight gone from your shoulders.
I just kept my foot in it and I just kept going.
Spoken like a true pro. A bit of a question. Obviously, are you going to remain? You're going to come out in a week's time. We're going to see you out on track as we head to Lucia.
Yeah, I plan to be there unless we get another last-minute decision to go racing here in real life. That was why I wasn't here last week. We decided to make a last-minute decision to go do some racing, and yeah.
And how did you get on?
What's that?
How did you get on? Obviously, when you went, well, I say real-life racing a couple of weeks ago.
Trey, let me put this to you in American terms. How well did you do last weekend?
Oh, pretty good, I think.
Here come the lights. Let's get ready to go racing in Germany for the first time. And oh, Clog, he's jumped the start there. He's going to incur a penalty. Bouncing across the curves, the pair of them. And Thompson's finally going to let the run on him. He's going to be up the inside of the run down to Kike turn. And surely this is going to be from the lead. He backs out of him. Schenkler runs wide. But Thompson's finally got it. But here comes Ham. He's right into it, and he wants to plate off Schenkler. He runs some Rob Salt in his route right in these last stages. Now let's get ready to go racing from Bristol in the grand final of round 5 of the XSLR Championship. And there's bang and Stein into the wall early.
Welcome to round 14 of the Cross Series League Racing season. Well, after a fairly thrilling race 2 weeks ago where we opened the final stage of the season with the dirt road section, we are back once again here today from Crandon International Raceway, one of the longest dirt tracks you can find on iRacing, one of the most interesting as well. Welcome along then. Tonight we are going to have some fairly supreme dirt car action, but before we get into all the goings on the circuit, let's introduce your commentary team for tonight. My name is Sebastian Bosher-Williams. In the virtual production booth we have Jonathan Grabowski, but alongside me as ever we have Alex Andersen. Alex, well, we have all been looking forward to this race. It's going to be such an interesting race, and actually, unlike last week, we're going to have some heat racing, so it's all going to be really exciting.
Absolutely, and this is probably one of my favorite dirt road course tracks on the service, and it just has so much flow and character to it. It's such a fun place to drive in any car you bring here, and especially with the land rush start in the heats and in the feature race, it's going to be an absolutely incredible show, especially with the amount of drivers that we are being shown here tonight.
Certainly will be. As I mentioned, we will have some heat racing, and if my understandings of the rules are correct, some drivers will not be able to get into the final feature race. So Stakes are high then, certainly for qualifying. You saw Adam Thompson just rounding the first few corners, starting to develop his lap. Tim Cox currently on his opening lap as well. Thompson purple in sectors 2 and 3. Hopefully he can continue in, as that's a car going off the circuit there. Adam Thompson crosses the finish line, heads through turn 1, and Thompson does not head to the top of the timing stand, so must have either gotten an off track on that lap or simply on an out lap. Catching us all off guard. It's such a long lap around this circuit. It's a minute 20 seconds. And Alex, you know, you're certainly more of the dirt road enthusiast than I am on iRacing, but I mean, that's a really long lap time for a rallycross circuit.
I'm going to need you to repeat that once more for me, as I'm had a little bit of audio issues just then. Sorry.
That's perfectly fine. What I was sort of saying, Alex, is, you know, 1 minute 20 lap time. It's a really long lap time for a rallycross circuit.
Almost certainly. Last week, or excuse me, not last week, 2 weeks ago from Wild West Motorsports Park, drivers would be aiming for lap times under a minute. And now with over a minute and 15-second lap times, there's a lot more room for error. There's a lot more time for these drivers to make mistakes. And I would reckon the field is going to be a lot more spread out over the course of racing here tonight. But I would reckon with the way this track is laid out, it's going to be a great show for these drivers.
Owen sets the first lap time of the night so far, 1 minute 24.8. That's the marker then for everybody to beat. Josh Clogg sends it sideways through the final few corners, really pushing the limits of the circuit as he heads actually over the hill. So he's already completed his first lap, didn't manage to get a lap time on the board. Adam Thompson, though, finds himself currently in second place. But sure, Thompson will be wanting to improve on his lap time. Half a second between himself and Irwin. Drivers, though, Alex, struggling to get the lap times in. So far, only 2 drivers have managed to successfully get a lap time in, and they're already on their second or even in some cases, third attempts. Just sort of explain to the viewers how difficult it is to get a lap time that's not invalidated, how easy it is to, for instance, get a 1x around the circuit.
Well, especially with rallycross cars that aren't really built for this type of track, they have a lot more rigid suspensions than, say, the trophy trucks do. So with those rigid suspensions comes abrupt landing on the jumps that can send cars spinning. But the main point of interest, I would say, for instance, would probably be entering the turn 4 hairpin. I was doing a little bit of test laps by myself, and it's a very difficult corner to get correct. You have to hit the brakes and push the clutch in so that way the car doesn't stall on you, and then get the car turned for that corner. The thing is, if you don't get it turned, then you're just going to go straight into the wall. You can get it turned too much. I did this once. You get the car turned too much, you end up going backwards into the corner and reversing into that outside retaining wall. So I would reckon the turn 4 hairpin could be where a lot of these drivers are messing up, but it could also be with the finish line stand, as the poles from it stick almost right on top of the racing surface, and it's very easy to get carried away and slam right into one with the rear end of the car.
Josh Clogg sets the new benchmark. The first man today into the 1 minute 23s, 1 minute 1 minute 23.977 the pole time so far. Bobby Ross takes second place, in returning to the series pool. Mikolajczyk in third. Thompson managed to improve his lap time, but currently finds himself in 4th place. And without any more laps to further his qualifying position, Jake Ham has not had a qualifying that we would have expected from him. A driver that really suits these rally cross cars, in 6th place, and that will be where he finishes his qualifying attempt. Tim Cox, a driver that has now got a lap time on the board, but some 4 seconds off the pace. So Tim Cox will be really hoping to find a little bit more pace out on the circuit. Clogg doesn't improve on his final qualifying attempt, goes tantalizingly close to his best lap, even with 2 purple sectors. Is Tim Cox flying over the hill towards that long corner of turn 6. Just tries to wait until the car can grip up to apply the throttle, and oh, he's bounced off the jump and finds himself heading very, very sideways, and he's gonna, I think, end up into the wall. Actually, he's not gonna end up in a wall. He's headed off the racing circuit, and that will be Tim Cox's qualifying session done and dusted. So Alex, we've got 8 cars qualified so far out of the 10. You know, just, you know, explain to the viewers that maybe are new to Crandon, it's not necessarily a standard rallycross start, is it?
No, so I mentioned this a little bit ago towards the start of the broadcast, and that is the land rush start that takes place for standing starts at this circuit. And I'm not sure if there's going to be anybody that is near this section, so we can give you an example, but right out of turn 4, there's a big open wide grass area to the left, and before you head down that long straightaway towards turn 5, it's out of the hairpin turn 4. And for the starts of each race, the drivers will line up side by side on that start. So here we go. J-Cam is heading towards it. You'll see what I'm talking about in just a second. The drivers will line up in pretty much a MotoGP grid style, 3 cars per row. Or excuse me, I'm pretty sure it's closer to 4 cars per row, but that's what I was talking about with drivers being too greedy into the hairpin. But here we go. J-Cam is currently in this section right now. This is where the drivers are going to be started. He might want to do a practice start here. I'm not sure what he was doing just then, but that area right there is where the drivers are going to start. To the left of where Josh Clogg's car right now, that big open grassy area. They're all going to start there in a 4 wide car grid, or maybe a 3 or 4 car grid, and they're going to blast down towards turn 5, and that's how they're going to start this race. It's going to be insane.
It most definitely will. I wonder if Drake Ham was listening to the broadcast and was trying to get us some up-close and personal pictures of the start. Josh Clogg is a man that is on pole, nobody else on the circuit to challenge him, but still lapping away, really trying to find any extra benefit or time out on the circuit. In fact, set a new first session best sector 1, so clearly finding some more pace out on the circuit as Clogg comes across the start-finish line. He's really wanting just to keep on with that practice, just to keep that momentum, to keep that rhythm, and finally decides that that's enough practice for him. So 2 drivers have not set a lap time and will not be able to get a lap time on the board. That's Jimmy Howitt and James Keir. So 2 drivers a little bit unknown as we head into the start of this race, but you know, I know we keep on saying it, Alex, but what a race we're in for tonight.
Absolutely. It's going to be absolutely incredible. I mean, this track, Crandon International Raceway, this place is pretty much the Daytona or Indianapolis of short course racing. This is where it's at for short course racing. The World Championship of Off-Road Racing comes here, and it's pretty much the highlight of their calendar, and it's such a fun track to drive. Really underrated, I would say, track on the iRacing service. But Sal, why don't you take us through our starting grid for the first heat, if we can get there.
So the first heat then, and Josh Clogg on pole. Paul Mikolajczyk in second place, Bobby Ross in third, Adam Thompson lines up in fourth place, Kevin Irwin starts in fifth, Jake Ham starts in sixth place, Tim Cox seventh, Robert Schwenkler in eighth, James Keir in ninth, and Jimmy Howitt in 10th place. So unfortunately it doesn't look, Alex, like we're going to get any heat racing today, but you see them all lined up. And are we going to go, are we going to have 2 rows, or are they going to all line up 10 wide? Because that will be a sight to behold, certainly, if they can manage to do that.
I would hope they would line up 10 wide, but it looking like it might only be 8 wide. But I'm not complaining. That's going to be incredible. So I want to see here's the row of all of them. Actually, if everybody were to line up on the grid, I think they might actually start 10 wide, or at the very least 9. There's another car on the left, so this is 7 cars right here all lined up, and if 2 more spawn in, this is probably going to be a row of maybe 9 cars. There's another one, so I would assume, honestly, this could be a row of all 10 cars. This is going to be crazy.
We're just waiting for Jimmy Howard, the 37, to appear. Jimmy did not take part in qualifying, so I wonder if he will take part in the race, and if he doesn't, then it will be 9 cars, and then they will all be starting on the same row. So actually, Josh Clogg, he was the quickest man in qualifying, quite convincingly, the only man into the 1:23s, but doesn't necessarily have much of an advantage when it comes to the start. Everybody starting alongside him. 10 seconds to go before we get the first heat underway. 3 laps of racing then heading your way. Jimmy Howard will not take the start, so it was 10 and it's now 9 cars as we get ready to go racing for the first time tonight. The lights build, the excitement build, and we get ready to go racing. It's a good start. They all get away. James Keir was a little bit slow as they all bounce their way down to turn 1. Oh, car almost facing into the wall. Big contact in the background. I think that's Kevin Irwin being sent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars off into the wall, and it's all gone disastrously wrong in the opening stages of the first race. And secondary contact, tertiary contact as well, and it's Josh Clogg and Paul Mikolajczyk that are running away with this race. And Alex, take over for me.
That just made my night. That might be one of the greatest things I've ever seen on sim racing. I said the land rush starts were going to be amazing, and that is exactly why right there. Here's a replay of the whole incident. There's pretty much 4 or 5 separate incidents that culminated together. So one car gets turned right there, then another car gets turned, then everybody just turns themselves into each other. Tim Cox on his side, and everybody just scrambles to try and get around. But meanwhile, we still have a race on our hands between Josh Clogg and Paul Mikolajczyk now. So even with all the chaos, there is still a race for the lead.
Certainly is a race for the lead. Josh Clogg, your pole sitter, currently out in the lead with Paul Mikolajczyk in second. In fact, those two remaining where they started. Thompson gaining a position in third. And James Keir has had the best. Deep under braking for Clogg. Can Paul Mikolajczyk capitalise on that mistake by Clogg? Can't do it as they head over the bumps down towards turn 5. For the first time under racing conditions, already on lap 2. Ham making his way past Keir. They're having a side-by-side battle heading through turn 5, and Ham, has he come off worse? There's a car on the outside of the circuit, and I do believe that is Jake Ham. So disaster for him as we see James Keir just making his way through. Contact being made with that inside wall. Alex, we're almost at the end of the first heat race. It's frantic, it's frenetic, it's certainly enjoyable.
Yes, Kevin Irwin trying to make a move, and now around, I'm not sure what car he's trying to pass here. Oh no, that's Jimmy Howard, a lap car now, so it looks like he started a bit late. And now Kevin Irwin's just trying to get around him into turn number 7 now. And we're on the white flag, and Josh Clogg is pulling away a little bit, but I think Paul Mikolajczyk, if he can just get these first series of corners correctly, this is where he's been stronger. I think if he can get that next corner correct, he might just have a shot.
And late move there by Keir. I think Keir took the wider line in, took Cam a little bit by surprise, but Jake Cam makes the move up into 5th place. As you rightly pointed out, Alex already on the white flag for the first heat today. Ham makes his way through to the final corner. That's how far that they're behind. Josh Clogg is 20 seconds ahead of these battling pairs. Bobby Ross had to do everything within his power to not hit the outside wall heading through turn 2. Uses a little bit of handbrake to get the car turned in. Robert Schwenkler as well. Look at the gaps, 20 or almost 30 seconds separating the top 9. Clogg and Mikolajczyk really benefiting from that opening lap or opening corner carnage. Really fascinating races. Josh Clogg really only has 2 corners left to go before he can claim the first victory of the night. He rounds turn 7. Nicely done. Paul Mikolajczyk starting to gain in, but it won't matter for Josh Clogg. He just has to navigate one final corner, a long sweeping right-hand hairpin, and Josh Clogg will come across the line to win the opening heat today in supreme style, and Josh Clogg does so successfully. Paul Mikolajczyk will finish in 2nd place, and Thompson will be in 3rd. This is a battle further down the field, and Tim Cox is up into 4th place. Actually, no, I think he's probably in 6th. That's a little bit of an anomaly on our graphics, but I mean, what a start we had there, Alex. And the best news that I can give you and all the viewers is we're going to do exactly the same thing in a few minutes' time.
Absolutely, just what a race. I mean, it was an interesting battle for the lead for the first couple of laps, and there was great battles throughout the midfield, and then obviously there was the chaos. We all have a little bit of chaos going into turn number 5 on the start of the race, but Josh Clogg ends up victorious, it looks like. Or actually, no, he's on the white flag right now, as they still had to complete one more lap, including the one they started on. So this is going to be the white flag, so 2 more corners, and Josh Clogg will easily cruise to a win in the heat.
Frog enjoys winning so much, he's going to try and do it twice in one race. I think our software is having a little bit of an issue with the Crandon Rallycross circuit. That was Mikolajczyk. Oh, so wide through turn 7, was almost into the advertising board on the outside of the circuit. Josh Clogg then will round the final corner and cross the line to win. Supreme race win by Josh Clogg. Paul Mikolajczyk will finish in second place. Is down the inside goes Jake Ham. He makes his way past Jimmy Howard. I'm very confused at the moment, because I was pretty sure that Jimmy Howard was a lap down earlier on, but currently Jimmy Howard and Jake Ham battling it out, with Jake Ham facing the wrong way through turn number 8, and it will be Jimmy Howard crossing the line in 5th. And honestly, Alex, I'm not quite sure how that works. Tim Cox and Robert Schwenkler. Robert Schwenkler has befallen the same fate that Jake Ham felt. That's a little bit clumsy across the line. But Jimmy Howard in 5th.
Well, no, I will mention to you, I have pulled up the results on iRacing. That is accurate. Jimmy Howard did, in fact, finish in 5th place. It could have had to do with the land rush start, where he was able to pull out and track with the other cars and did not end up being a lap down. So, pretty successful job from him, and I would reckon that they might not want him to do that, because, I mean, it just gave him a free shot to pull into the top 5 after not having set a lap.
Very confused then, but well, after a fairly stunningly interesting race, Josh Clogg takes the Heat 1 race win. Paul Mikolajczyk finished in 2nd place, and Adam Thompson rounding out your podium places. Kevin Owen finished 4th, Jimmy Howard in 5th, Jake Ham finished in 6th, James Keir 7th, Bobby Ross 8th, Tim Cox in 9th, and Robert Schwenkler rounding out your 10-car grid. I still can't get over. I'm very confused at the moment, Alex, and yeah, my brain not quite comprehending what necessarily happened, but a 3-minute warm-up gives us the chance just to calm down, cool down, and before we do it all over again.
Well, we'll see if I can explain it to you, make a little bit of sense for you, Seb, and maybe any viewers who are a little confused as to how a car that seemed a lap down finished in the top 5, and that is because the start-finish line is in the middle of the track. It's where those two poles are, and it's not... This is turn 5 right here. This is turn 5 that Paul Mikolajczyk's heading through. So this is not the start-finish straight. And the thing is, the land rush starts after the start-finish line. So they have to finish that first lap, and then... So when they start, they are technically, I know I'm probably doing a horrible job at this, but they start technically on lap 0. When they cross the line that first time, they start lap 1. We'll see the start-finish line when Jake Ham heads to the final corner right here, driving the number 85 Reese's car. And as he comes through this final corner, you'll see that finish line right there. That is the actual start-finish line. So when they start the race, they technically start on lap 0. And what Jimmy Howard did was he started from the pits, which means he technically also started on lap 0. So when he pulled out of the pits, it was before anybody had crossed the line, so everybody was still on lap 0. So Jimmy Howard ended up pulling out with those drivers, and he was on the same lap because everybody was still on lap 0. Nobody had crossed the line yet.
Great explanation there, Alex. And I think also to add, I think our timing software was a little bit confused as well, like us commentators. Jake Ham taking the very adventurous line into turn for the sort of off-road, sort of rallycross, sort of mixed with a little bit of a video game physics line. Very interesting. You could also say that. You could certainly make that comparison as well, as warm-up comes to an end with Kevin Irwin, the leader in this session, with Paul Mikolajczyk, once again taking, well, a very nice grind over the bumps. And well, I'm not quite sure, talking to video games, if we're playing iRacing or Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Just having a little bit of fun at the end of the warm-up, but here's your starting grid for the feature race, and really this doesn't even matter all too much because everybody's going to start right next to each other. But Josh Clogg technically starts on pole with Paul Mikolajczyk technically in 2nd, then Adam Thompson 3rd, Kevin Irwin in 4th, Jimmy Howard in 5th, Jake Ham in 6th, James Keir in 7th, Bobby Ross in 8th, Tim Cox in 9th, and Robert Schwenkler, the final car in the field there, in 10th. And Seb, I just heard something interesting that Adam Thompson said in the iRacing voice chat, and that is that he said that they have all had a gentleman's agreement, so that way if the field gets super spread out and nobody's near each other, they're going to have a quote-unquote safety car where the leader will slow up, let everyone catch up to them, and then they will restart when they get back to the start-finish line that lap. And we saw it last week at Wild West, but that's going to make for an interesting race once more.
Certainly will, and if we have any more interesting shenanigans going on at turn number 1, or what is the first corner really, Jimmy Howard decided to grid and then decide not to as we go racing once again for the last time in today's proceeding. Half the field trying is make their way towards the racetrack as soon as possible. Will it be as carnage and as crazed filled as it was one race ago? Through turn 5 they make it all through successfully, but now all the carnage starts to unfold. Cars going left, right and centre, as that's one car certainly off the track there. I think that was Paul Mikołajczyk off the circuit. Yes, it was. The second place starter falls down the order. And wow, Paul Mikołajczyk must be gutted over that result.
And I
Alex,
thought
take us through it.
I thought he was upside down at one point, so you see contact from Tim there, and he hits Paul on the outside, and then they hit while they're both in the air, and then Paul catches that Armco barrier, flips over on his roof, lands back on his wheels, and he can keep going. And by the way, Jimmy Howard is not a lap down. He did the same thing he did in the heat, where he decided to get out on track through the pit lane and not the actual land rush start. So smart decision to avoid the chaos in turn number 5, but I don't know, so I mean, pretty smart move from him. And oh, Tim Cox hitting another car there. He went into Kevin Irwin, parked in a very bad spot there in turn number 3, ends up getting it rolling with only, I believe, Adam Thompson hitting him. Now he just has to get it back pointed in the right direction, and that's just really unfortunate for him as Kevin Irwin now trying to chase down Josh Clogg.
Tim Cox then finding reverse gear, a little bit scary at the apex, although Ross already being overtaken by Cox as they head towards turn 5 then for the first time at full racing speed. Thompson tries to get on the inside of Jake Ham, makes the move before they've exited the corner and has the move completed. So Thompson back up into the podium places, back up to where he started. He's got Kevin Irwin ahead of him and Josh Clogg. Irwin really challenging Clogg so far. Josh Clogg didn't really come under any pressure, Alex, in race 1, but Thompson and Ham still battling it out. Ham sent it to the inside through turn 7. Thompson just played the waiting game and got the move done on the exit, but you know, Clogg under pressure from Kevin Irwin. Irwin really piling on that pressure, and Clogg in an unknown territory at the moment.
Yeah, Kevin has been doing a pretty good job at managing this gap. He hasn't really closed it up all too much. As you see the lap time, Kevin almost a second off there, but he's been doing a really good job at just trying to manage this car, try and manage this gap, and just try and better himself for the end of this race. He's better in I would assume the second half of the course. That's where he was making up a lot of time here as they head into the turn 4 hairpin once more. We'll see. You can see how much more Kevin Irwin sends it into this corner. Meanwhile, Josh Clogg goes for the speed on the exit. It looked like it worked out for Kevin Irwin that time, as now Paul Mikołajczyk making a move around Jake Ham. Or excuse me, that was James Keir.
James Keir being overtaken by Paul Mikołajczyk. Up next for Mikołajczyk will be Jake Ham, but Paul having to recover after that opening lap issue. And Tim really sort of sent it to the inside, didn't he? Sort of started off the chain reaction. Mikołajczyk, though, really hammering the bumps. He's got so much confidence in his car and knows how the car will react when it lands, not sort of chasing the car, really hustling it and forcing that car to go where he wants to on the racing circuit. Josh Clogg, then Bobby Ross and James Keir, I should say, down the inside it goes Bobby Ross. Car off in the background. I think that's Robert Schwenkler in the background as we see our timing tower finally having a little bit of a reshuffle. Clogg sets the new fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 25.3. Great lap by him. Just starts to feel like the field isn't spreading out, Alex, but you know, battles aren't so close on the circuit, but utterly enthralling race nevertheless.
I don't know though, Kevin Irwin is doing a really good job at closing this gap down. Yeah, iRacing said he lost a bit of time on that last lap, but he is still closing this gap up tremendously, and to see somebody stick this much of a hand up to Josh Clogg on a dirt road race. This is pretty impressive from the number 7 car, and he's doing a great job so far. You see how much better he is through the second half of the lap. Really closes the gap a little bit there. It looks like he's lost a little bit more time this lap, and you can see now the gap to Adam Thompson there. Adam losing a bit of time, but Kevin Irwin still just maintaining this gap. He's not really gaining too much time, but he's not really losing any either.
No, Josh Clogg slower on this lap. I think Jimmy Howard as well has had a little bit of an issue further down the field. Mikolajczyk and Jake Ham. Mikolajczyk already has caught up to the back of Jake Ham. And in fact, scrap that, has now found himself ahead of Ham. As Ham spins out through turn 7 and is over the other side of the circuit. He's just seeing sky as he tries to rejoin the racing circuit. You don't tend to say that too often in commentary. Kevin Irwin, though, you're right, is doing such an amazing job, but everything's gonna be reset as the gentleman's agreement thoroughly comes in to action. So Clogg leads the impromptu safety car. Bobby Ross, look at that lap time, a 25.3, so it's the fastest lap of the race. That's a little bit of a threat for Mikolajczyk and Thompson ahead of him, because the field will get drawn closer together. So we are in for a barnstorming final 4 laps here, Alex.
Yeah, and we know how fast Kevin Irwin is. He's fast enough to catch up to Josh Clogg and stay there. Passing is a different story, but Kevin Irwin is fast enough to keep up. And also, Paul Mikolajczyk and Bobby Ross, 2 of the fastest dirt racers in this field, with Bobby Ross setting the fastest lap time just then. And also with Paul Mikolajczyk, I've seen him do a lot of dirt road racing. He is very good at it, and I think what they might do here is they might not restart the race at the start-finish line, but restart it once again in turn 5 once everybody is caught up.
I feel that sort of the appropriate pace to get the race underway is a crawl around turn 4. Irwin and Clogg trying to do a little bit of a standing start. It's not necessarily as neat and as tidy as the iRacing grids that we normally get. So Clogg and Irwin having what I can only describe as the slowest battle in iRacing that you'll find. I think they're all waiting, as Jonathan, our producer in my ear, says, that waiting for Robert Schwenkler to stop, to catch up, to unlap himself. But I just sort of like the optics there of those two having a really slow speed battle as we ride aboard with Schwenkler. Great opportunity, Alex, just to ride on board for the lap inside one of these amazing VW Beetles.
Yeah, and I'm listening to the iRacing chat from Adam Thompson, and it looks like the first corner of the billboard is where these drivers are going to be restarting with the race. I'm not sure what corner he was referencing there, but I'm listening to the iRacing chat, just trying to see what they'll do here. I'll update you guys with more information in a second, but Robert Schwenkler going to be the last car to rejoin the field.
Schwenkler almost ended up on the wrong side of the circuit. Would have been a little bit of embarrassing faux pas. So Schwenkler has caught up as we have a really interesting car park on the circuit. Okay, so they will go 2 by 2, it seems, as we get ready. Oh, back into single. Alex, have you got any more information?
Yep, they said it is going to be a single file restart. They let it up to the drivers, and the drivers voted for a single file restart. And it looks like, I would assume that they might restart this into turn number 6. I could be mistaken, though. The only thing I heard over iRacing chat was the first corner with the billboard, so I'm not sure what corner was being referenced there, but I'm going to assume maybe turn number 6 after the jump, but it could also be maybe into turn number 7 here, as there's a lot of billboards. But nope, it's going to happen right now as they head through turn number 6. Josh Clogg getting a really nice jump on Kevin Irwin there, but the race is back on for the lead.
Start then from all. Oh, big crash in the background. Ross Kia into the wall. Cars flying left, right, and centre. That's Bobby Ross, the man who set the fastest lap of the race so far. Currently finds forward. Big crash. Kia once again finds himself facing backwards. Tim Cox. I wonder if there was contact between Kia and Tim Cox. Paul Mikolajczyk is up to 4th place, pressurising Thompson as he head through turn number 8 to cross the start-finish line. 3 laps left to go in this race. And another complicating factor is, well, I'll tell you what, Alex, talk us through the carnage on the opening lap, or on the opening restart.
Well, Bobby Ross got turned out of turn 6, and then it looks like what happened there is Jake Ham hits that little bump before he goes to hit the brakes and ends up sending himself into the field. and James Keir ended up getting the worst of it there, parked sideways. But here's a really big battle for the lead. Kevin Irwin is going for it right now. He'll get clear of Josh Clog as they head down towards turn number 5. However, Josh Clog with the run off the outside, he'll take the lead back before they get to turn number 5. But this is neck and neck for the lead of this race.
Really prefers that outside wider line. Kevin Irwin, the complete opposite, likes a tight line through turn 4, and that allowed him to momentarily take the lead as Thompson goes wide through turn number 7, allows Mikolajczyk up into 3rd. So Paul Mikolajczyk on a recovery drive after the opening lap faux pas from the 38 as they all start to concertina up towards turn 7. Sorry, it was turn 6 that we went through a few moments ago, as we see Jimmy Howard and Robert Schwenkler as the two behind of Ross and Tim Cox and Ham battle their way side by side. Mikolajczyk on the inside of Thompson. Irwin as well, starting to get away from these battling two behind. Thompson really just sort of aggressively trying to almost take the Josh Clog line. Alex sort of go wide and cut in late, but Mikolajczyk making that tighter line work very well for him.
Yeah, I wouldn't count out Paul Mikolajczyk at all. He's a very talented dirt road racer, knows how to handle these tracks very well. So watch out for this 38 car, because if he gets an opportunity, you know for sure that he is going to take it. But Josh Clog went really wide into that corner. And Kevin Irwin slid right in front of him. So when Josh got back to the gas, he had nowhere to go but Kevin Irwin's rear bumper. Great car positioning by Kevin Irwin, and that's going to put him into the lead of this race. But Josh Clog going to really be fighting back here, and these drivers also have to look out for Paul Mikolajczyk and Adam Thompson behind them.
With a huge mistake, then Kevin Irwin with a great overtake to boot as well, as Clog heads over the bumps towards turn number 7, the penultimate corner on the racing circuit. Clog has got it all to do, but he's got to watch for these two drivers behind him, and Mikolajczyk and Thompson. Irwin has not been in this position so far today. He's not led this race. He doesn't know how to. As down the inside goes Clog. Irwin takes that longer line. Contact will be made between the two. No, oh, so close for comfort. Kevin Irwin will have the inside line into turn 1. Mikolajczyk sets the fastest lap of the race. They're still side by side for the race lead. Clog will take the race lead, but will Kevin Irwin be able to get that outside line, tuck it into the inside as they head around turn 3? And now the run down to turn 4. Kevin Irwin a little bit tardy off the exit as they make their way down. Oh, Thompson hit the banking on the outside. That might just eliminate him from this battle towards the braking zone of turn 4. Irwin, this time it's Kevin Irwin taking the wide line. Mikolajczyk sending it to the inside with Adam Thompson the closest to the apex, but Josh Clog with a supreme bit of driving there, Alex.
Yeah, and Kevin got a really nice run out of turn number 4, and that's going to allow him to just maintain this gap. He gets a good run through 5, now into 6 as Josh Clog just sideways, almost at a barrel roll over that jump. Irwin sends it really deep into turn number 6. This is a really good battle for the lead, and it's going to go all the way to the line as they head through turn number 7. I would reckon the biggest move, or the biggest place to make a move that Kevin Irwin could take, would be turn number 4. That hairpin is just a really nice spot where you can dive bomb somebody, throw that car in there, pull right up in front of them so they can't get the switchback. And that's almost how Kevin Irwin made the move for the lead originally, and now he has to just try and stay consistent as they approach the final lap of this race.
White flag then, 1 lap to go of racing action here around the Crandon International Raceway. Clog with a crucial fastest lap, 1 minute 24.5. Mikolajczyk left in the dust. He was our previous fastest lap sitter as Clog starts to extend his gap, 1.3 seconds. That's very wide from Kevin Irwin. Can he get it all tightened up before the exit? Yes, he can, but he's now under pressure from Mikolajczyk. Josh Clog is running away with this race so far. It's all now about the battle for second place, and Mikolajczyk will send it to the inside. He goes, oh, so tight towards the apex. Irwin really doing the Josh Clog line, and now he just has to hope that he has a better run out of the corner, has that inside line towards turn 5. But Mikolajczyk really trying to take this battle to Kevin Irwin for second spot. Irwin sends it in a little bit deep. That's going to allow Mikolajczyk the outside line into turn number 6. Handbrake usage from Kevin Irwin. Mikolajczyk still in the battle. Will get now the better run out towards turn 7. Erwin, though, is on that inside line. Josh Clog is running away with this race. Oh, into the grass once again. We see Mikolajczyk. Mikolajczyk, can he make his way all the way around the outside of turn 7? That will become the inside line for turn 8, the final corner. And Mikolajczyk will be able to get the move done. But oh, he's sideways, almost in the air. Can Erwin maybe try and recover? He's going to take the wider line, try and get the run to cross the line. Josh Clog gets the race win. Mikolajczyk gets that second spot. Kevin Erwin in third. Thompson in fourth. Wow, Alex, what a final lap that was.
What a race. That was absolutely incredible. I mean, that restart set up Paul Mikolajczyk perfectly to have a nice comeback story. Here's a replay of it through the final corner. Paul Mikolajczyk got a really nice run off of the outside there and really just cleared him, and that was pretty much all she wrote. Kevin tried to dive bomb it in there to turn 8 to try and get a nice run off the exit, but just could not make it stick. As everybody across the line now, Jake Ham and Tim Cox being the final 2 cars to do so, as Tim just maybe a little bit sick of it and just flies it right off that jump there. But just absolutely fantastic race.
Certainly was. Here then are your feature race results. Josh Clog, your overall race winner. Paul Mikolajczyk recovering to second place, and Kevin Erwin rounding out your podium finishers. Adam Thompson just outside the top 3. He finishes 4th. Bobby Ross in 5th. Jimmy Howitt, a driver that hasn't taken the start in both races, finishes in 6th place. So that tactic working well for Jimmy. Jake Ham finished in 7th. Tim Cox in 8th. And James Keir in 9th place, with Robert Schwenkler in 10th place. And Alex, what an absolutely supreme race that we had once again. And I wonder if we might just be able to talk to some of our drivers. And I might have found our second place finisher, Paul Mikolajczyk, and let's bring him in to the commentary booth. Paul, welcome once again to the commentary booth. And wow, that looks fairly fun out there today.
Oh yeah, I love this stuff. I love what we call the jumpy trucks, and this is just a jumpy truck track with a less jumpy car.
I think you've summed it up perfectly. It's a jumpy truck track without a jumpy car. How did you find the starts? I mean, you know, race 1 you managed to survive it, but race 2 got caught out in a little bit of bother. But that looked absolutely hectic.
Yeah, the land rushes are always a little bit crazy here. Usually I'm the one. I usually don't start on the right when I do these races. I'm usually a bit slower, so I'm starting towards the middle or left, and I usually like the brake and like cut under all the people that are flying in. But I didn't have really the choice to do that when I was the starts I got, because I got them pretty well.
And do you think if you hadn't have had that issue at the start, you would have been able to battle Josh Clog for the race win, or do you think that second was the best that you could manage today?
I'm happy I didn't. That race was so fun with Kevin there in the last lap, and then sitting behind him and Josh. Oh my god, that was amazing.
That's what it's all about. Well, Paul, thank you so much for coming to talk to us in the commentary booth. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to at all?
And shout out to you guys. I know that you also broadcast my league on Monday nights, so thank you. Yeah, that's it. Adam for hosting the league, for accepting me and stuff like that. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Paul, for coming to talk to us, as we're seeing some fairly fantastic gymnastics moves on the stream at the moment with your opening lap spin. Very lucky, in fact, to land on the tires.
Yeah, it's a Beetle. It's a big ball and up on the tire somehow.
Well, thank you very much, Paul, and congratulations on your second place.
Thank you. Peace out, guys.
That was Paul Mikolajczyk, your second place finisher. Alex, have you managed to find any other driver out in the paddock?
Looks like I managed to find our P3 driver, and that is Kevin Erwin. And Kevin, you sat in P3, or excuse me, you sat in P2 for most of the race, ended up making a move for the lead as well at one point. What was it like racing with Josh Clog and Paul Mikolajczyk there?
It was incredible. I don't think I can say I've gotten to race that close with anybody in the league, let alone Josh Clog in his main event here. It was really exciting. And then towards the end there, that last jump, I heard Paul coming around, and I misshifted, so I couldn't get in front of him. I'm like, I'm just gonna try and get back into second, but not push it too hard. So I'm still pretty excited. That's my first podium of the league so far, so.
And that was absolutely electric from you there. Great showing from you tonight. How are you looking? Or actually, you know what? Let me change that up. Two things. How was the land rush start, and how did you manage that? And two, what was it like having to do the restart there out of turn 5?
So the land rush, I've always felt like anytime we've done that standing start, I've had like a pretty good reaction time with that. So, on that, the main event for the land rush, we were kind of discussing that gentleman's safety, and I kind of wasn't right on time, but still got out fast enough. And I was kind of worried after that 5th lap, because I'm like, I didn't want that to break my pace there, but I held out.
Yeah, and one more thing, with how much pace you showed tonight at Crandon, how are you looking forward to the next dirt road race, I believe, at Bark River?
I'm always looking forward to these races. I don't know why, I seem to do a little bit better in these ones, and I've just been putting in a lot more practice behind the wheel, and I've definitely got something to show for it, so I'm looking forward to the next couple races.
You most certainly have something to show for it, Kevin. And before we let go, anybody you want to thank? Give a shout out to?
No, nothing today.
All right, well, I believe unless Seb has anything, that is all I have for you tonight, my friend. So congrats on the podium finish tonight. Great race from you, and we'll hope to see you back up here once more from Bark River next week.
Hope so.
And that was Kevin Irwin, your 3rd place finisher from Crandon International Raceway. And Seb, have you gotten anybody left to interview?
I think we might have another driver to have a quick chat to, and it's the one and only Adam Thompson. Adam, well, welcome once again to the commentary booth. That was a fairly frenetic race for both race stars at least, but it looked a whole ton of fun out there.
Yeah, it was an absolute blast, and I know I'm in 4th place, but I'm in here to fill Josh Clogg's spot. He had to go on baby duty. So, yeah, that's why I'm in here. But it was an absolute blast. The guys, at least the top 4, top 5. I'm really starting to fall in love with these cars, guys.
It looked so fun out there. And you had a front row seat, really, to the battle up ahead of you towards the final stages. It just looked like a ton of fun. And talk us through those starts. I think we saw a replay at the second start that you were almost sort of hitting the nose. You hit a jump in such a way. Did you think that your race might have been over before it really started?
So who was it that asked me last week if I enjoyed these cars? Was it you, Seb?
I can't remember what I did earlier today, Adam.
I think it was you, Seb. You asked me last week. Do you enjoy these cars? You did pretty well. Do you enjoy these cars? I'm going to reiterate with that with saying I'm going to change my answer a little bit. No, I still don't enjoy these cars. I'm starting to enjoy them. I don't enjoy them because I don't know how they react. We had just started. I should have done what I did on that first heat, or on the heat, and just backed off, let everybody go. But I think there was something in that ramp, in that bump that I hit, and it just sent my car over because I was full on throttle and my car went nose up. I was like, well, this is it for me. But it came back down and everything worked out okay. But yeah, that was a very, very scary moment. The first 30 seconds were probably the most intense part of my race.
I can certainly, I can certainly get on board with that. And of course, you said that you're in here on behalf of Josh Clogg, and just sort of a shout out to him, a supreme race that he had today, winning both the heat and the feature race. Yeah. Would you vote for a standing start every week?
I would. So the standing starts, Seb, I don't think you've covered this league much. I know you raced in it a couple times. I'm a big fan of standing starts no matter what we do. Obviously, some things you can't standing start on, NASCAR on ovals, IndyCar ovals, basically anything on ovals. Any road kind of vehicle that we do, I would love to standing start. I mean, because it brings so much more action. Everybody's going at the same time. In a league like this, we're all about trying to have fun. Sometimes emotions get a little bit high, but yeah, it's so much better, I think, for standing starts, and especially at Crandon, which is why you guys have run just a little bit late here. You have to have a standing start at Crandon. Going 10 wide into turn 1, or whatever turn that is, I know it's not 1, is definitely got to be the way to go.
It certainly has. Well, thank you so much, Adam, for coming to talk to us on the broadcast. Before we let you go, anybody you'd like to give a shout out to at all?
Yeah, I would. Big shout out to Josh Clog, giving me a lot of help. He was sitting there in the Discord with me, trying to walk me through it. I'm just not as good as the top 3 guys were. And I want to give a massive, absolutely massive shout out to Kevin Irwin. He's been in this league for 4 seasons. This is his first podium ever. And the guy deserves it. He's put the practice in. That was just an unbelievable drive by Kevin. Congratulations, man. Hopefully you can keep it up, and I hope to have some more people fighting with me for the championship, because that was just an unbelievable drive. Paul Mikolajczyk showed up tonight, just I think out of generosity for we weren't going to have that many cars, and Robert Schwankler as well showed up. I know he disconnected there before the end, and but no, that was pretty cool to have 10 cars on track. I'm always going to shout out you guys, Alex, John, Seb, Randall, Dustin, everybody who covered the 24-hour this morning.
You mean the 4-hour?
Or sorry, the 4-hour.
I was
sorry.
Gonna say.
I'm my bad,
Well,
Alex.
I don't
But
remember doing a
everybody who covered
24-hour
it's
race.
been a long day. It felt like I've been up for 24 hours at this point. But no, everybody who did that this morning and everything you guys do, Slow Motion Broadcasting wouldn't be here if it wasn't because of you guys. So thank you so much. And I think I've got to shout out my wife. I think she's watching it over there in the bedroom. So thanks, Sarah, for watching and supporting me and letting me do these crazy things that I call fun and you call boring.
Oh, thank you very much, Adam, and once again, congratulations to you on finishing 4th, and of course to Josh Clog for 2 race wins today. And Alex, how do you sum up 2 races like that? What words could you use to describe the carnage?
Well, it was just an absolutely electric race. Yeah, there was carnage, but there was also some great racing all around from every driver involved. And I am definitely looking forward to the next race at Bark River. That's going to be a great race.
It most certainly will. And that will take place in 1 week's time. So that's all from us here today. Wow, what a race we have seen. So join us in 1 week's time as we take to Bark River. My name has been Sebastian Bosher-Williams in the commentary booth. I've had Alex Andersen on production. We've had Jonathan Grabowski. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you in 1 week's time.